And 2015 was actually the impetus year for automated governance kind of coming into the spotlight of the DevOps community. And Topo, you were at that event, right. And part of that discussion on stage introduced the Hygieia open source project. Tell us about that moment.
My background is doing DevOps in a financial enterprise, large enterprise. And I listen to these guys' talks and 10 deploys per day, 46 times deployment frequency at Amazon. And I'm like, why can't
8 billion
we do
per
it?
second, yeah.
Yes, and I'm like, we should be doing that too because everybody is doing that. So I started creating this CI/CD platform and tooling at my previous workplace. And nobody prevented me in doing anything until it's time to go to production. And then at that time, people said, sorry, you can't do that. And I'm like, why? The other guys are doing it. And I go to conference and hear about them. And everybody's doing that. We should be doing that too. And they said, nope, our audit, compliance, governance policies do not support that. And here are the reasons.
And you're in the financial services industry, and in a company in the financial services industry at this time.
Yes, and I had no knowledge about any of these audit governance requirements whatsoever. All I knew was to code and to send stuff to production, right? That was kind of my idea, and which was backed by whatever you guys said in conferences, which sounded pretty cool to me, and that's what I wanted to repeat. So I then realized that I cannot cross this boundary until I figure out how to solve or satisfy those people. And that's where it started from. And when I started getting knowledge about this community more, I started feeling that this community actually supports each other. A lot of ideas came out of this community, and they're all free. You didn't have to pay anyone. You just learn from each other. And I learned a few things, and then I brought back this topic to one of Gene Kim's first DevOps Enterprise Forum, which was a selected group of people that Gene thought they're friends. It's called Gene's Friend Circle. And we met in Portland, and that was one of the topics that was selected. How do we actually use DevOps in a nice way in a financial organization without breaking rules or getting fired, in other words. The topic was kind of presented there. And then we wrote the first paper, which is called Unlikely Union of DevOps and Audit. And it was a very short paper. And it was presented in that 2015 conference, the DevOps Enterprise Summit conference. Around the same time, I was from another angle trying to measure maturity of DevOps about what people are doing in their pipeline, to display on a dashboard, to tell people, there you are. That's what you're doing. This is based on data. And then I realized that the same data can be used actually to satisfy some of the requirements that the audit compliance people are asking for. So it started from a blockage that was put on my way to send code to production without breaking rules. The main purpose of Hygieia was to show people, if you say that I'm doing CI/CD, it should be visible. And that's the whole purpose, just to say, hey, you have a source code management tool that you are using to put your code in, you have a build pipeline, you have sonar scan going on, you are doing some kind of scanning, and it look good. You lit up the dashboard in different aspects, and it kind of look good, get a feeling. I never had the idea to use the same set of data to satisfy this.
What was the reaction back in 2015 to introducing Hygieia as an open source project?
Before building Hygieia, I was actually looking for something like Hygieia that will tell me the health of a team in terms of their DevOps quote-unquote maturity, whatever that maturity means. That you have certain things in your engineering practices that will tell me whether you're moving to the right direction. There was nothing. And that's why you built it. And science being my background, I always look for evidence in data to prove something true or false. And that's the basic idea of Hygieia. Collect the data and then create visualizations on top of it to prove that you have done it, or you're not doing it, or you're not doing it consistently. But then the realization of that was that Hygieia dashboard. And then my previous company was going through, digital transformation, and open source was kind of prohibited, right? Forget about open source contribution. Open source consumption was on policy prohibited, which is stupid, right? Now everybody knows that, but then, by that time, the policy was you should not use open source, only pay for license and then use that. So we had to change that or break that barrier to prove that, no, we are better than that. We not only safely can consume open source, but we also can contribute open source things to the community. And if you think about a financial organization, they will never open source their bread and butter. A DevOps dashboard? Sure. So, so that's why it got open source, and it got quite a bit of enthusiasm across the community because, first of all, it came from a bank. That never happened. Second of all, it was a kind of a thing that didn't exist in the market. And it actually helped large organizations to gather around these DevOps practices to kind of mature on their.
And was it purely financial services that came out with a positive reaction, or other parts?
It was retailer, airlines industry, financials, digital product creators, many sort of industries.